Good morning and welcome to Cramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday and it's the 20th of August. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. It is purely to demonstrate how I try to read a market using technical analysis and how you can try to do the same. I hope you can learn from it. So it's an educational video. Today we'll talk about Palantir. I mean, first of all, markets got hit in US yesterday with heavy selling and some stocks more than others. And we have Palantir that maybe a lot of investors are owning. And what was interesting with Palantir is that it actually went through two support levels and closed this gap area here, this exhaustion gap as we can call it. So it closed below this lower part of the gap, and RSI just above 40 threshold, but I think we could see Palantir maybe sliding lower towards 145 area here in the coming days and weeks. Looks quite choppy. It's actually formed a little bit of a bearish engulfing here, taking out the previous candle, actually the previous couple of candles there, and in a top and reversal. There was no divergence, which was quite interesting. There was no divergence here on the RSI, and still it got hit by selling pressure. And you can see here on the weekly how it's been sold out, sold off the past few weeks. For it to resume uptrend, it needs to close the gap to the upper side, meaning it has to close above 169.22. Another one that has an interesting move yesterday was Microsoft. Closing below the support here at 515.5, and the next one could be around 500, 497.5, and it seems to be established a bearish trend, not yet confirmed on the RSI though, but still a bearish trend. And we can also see here massive spikes up where sellers took the chance to take control. So it looks quite toppish. On the overall markets, we can see that the Nasdaq 100, if we zoom in on it a little bit, well, actually yesterday 1.4% lower, and it seems to be headed for a correction. How big it will be, it's of course hard to say, but there has been warning sign. We discussed it already yesterday in the video yesterday, that we had the divergence here on the RSI. You see RSI declining. Market moved higher, so we were in exhaustion mode, and now we were hit by selling, and I think we could see it at least down to 23,168. Strong support here at 22,673. That will be key, where we have the 55 moving average coming up, so that it is not unlikely it could be tested here in August. I'm not saying it will. So let's see about that. For it to resume uptrend, it needs to take out the previous peak there. Here pre-market, it has actually continued lower, and I think we will see it pushing lower towards 23,163 here today, possibly lower actually. So let's see how that will fare. On the two other markets, we had S&P500, as we can see, also below minor support there at 6,427. The key strong support is 6,200. So still a bit of way to go, but also here warning signs that RSI was indicating exhaustion mode. Same picture with the Dow Jones, almost at least, but a couple of tries, it didn't close above the key resistance there at 45,060, and since it couldn't do that, it's probably going to step back. But it fared a little bit better than the other indices, as we can also see here pre-market. It is setting back a little bit, but it's still far better than the other markets. Moving on to the Asian markets. Asian market, we have the Hang Seng that during this morning also a little bit lower again, testing the lower rising trend line there, which I think we should adjust just a tad, but it's still testing the just above the rising trend line. We are below the support there at the 25,081. It's not the strongest support. but it needs to get back above 25,177 to have a chance to resume uptrend. RSI, well, there's actually no divergence. Yes, I know we were higher here, but the close wasn't higher here than here, so there's no divergence. So indicating we could see higher levels on Hong Kong Stock Exchange, but I'm not quite sure it will happen. I think it will be dragged lower with the US market also, and especially if it takes out the rising trend line. Well, then we have support down here at 24,372. Nikkei hit by heavy selling this morning after reaching the 176.4 projection, and I think I will remove this one and then add a new one instead and say, okay, it seems like we have a correction going on. Minor support here at 42,520. Stronger support down here at 41,280. Also, we have divergence. The CDRSI value here is lower than here, indicating uptrend exhaustion. So a correction was in the cards. How big it will be is of course hard to say, but if it takes out 42,520, then we could be looking at 41,280, 41,300. On the European markets, they actually did quite well yesterday. EuroStoxx50 pushed higher and took out this resistance, key resistance here after testing it 3 times, and actually took it out. Positive sentiment on the RSI, so we are in a bullish sentiment, positive sentiment, and in a bullish trend is continuing and could move to 5,520. However, on the pre-market, we can see the EU50 CFD and based on the future actually did close below the resistance there, and is currently also trading below. So let's see if it will drag it on the real market, on the cash index, if it actually will drag it back below. So that's something to keep an eye on. DAX index, well, yesterday tested the resistance there at 24,445, which is key to close above. You can see if it closes above, then I think we'll also get the RSI to close above 60 threshold, and then we'll likely get a positive sentiment, and it will especially play out if it takes out that bearish candle there at 24,536. So really at an inflection point or kind of a pivot point at the moment for the DAX index. And here pre-market we're down about 0.25%, which has actually got rejected several times here at the resistance on the Germany 40 CFD / future. So it's still a little bit under pressure or struggling to really establish a bullish trend. On the FX market, it's been fairly muted. I mean, 117 on the euro dollar is still the key area. I know it closed a little bit above and spiked above, but it really needs to take off, and it especially needs to take out that 117.30 there. Spike up. If it does that, then I think we will get a push higher, but for now it seems like we are sliding back towards 116.55 moving average, giving some support here. RSI is still negative sentiment. You see it closed below here 40 about a few weeks ago, and hasn't closed above. So that's what it needs to do also, and it needs to really get back above the 117. Excuse me. The sterling dollar, well, sliding slowly back, and what I will do, I'll remove this one and see, okay, where could we have some Fibonacci levels to guide us a little bit. There we are. We could see it sliding back to the 38.2 retracement of 134.20, where we have the 100 moving average coming up, giving us some support. Remove this one. Before a next push, then I think it will bounce. Actually, still testing, currently testing the lower part of the cloud there. RSI in a positive sentiment, so we should push higher, but it seems to be really strong resistance at 136. Euro sterling, 86 level, still the key support. It seems like it can't really get its bouncing mojo back here. RSI is still positive sentiment though, so we should bounce, but if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago just below 86, well then we could see lower levels of euro sterling. So keep an eye on those levels there. On the yen, excuse me, on the yen pairs, dollar yen, still this range bound here, tighter range, but this range here 148 and a half, 148.55, and the lower rising trend line could be the first signal that it will move lower. About 145.75 is the key support. So the key question is: there's a shoulder, head, and shoulder, a little bit tilted with this neckline here. If it does break below, well, then there could be lower levels towards 143. But for now, I think it will stay range bound there for at least a while. Euro yen slightly lower this morning and yesterday, but the range is really 173 and 170.90. That spike down there. If it takes out, well, then we're looking at 169.70 possibly. That's the key strong support, where we also have the 55 coming up, adding to that support area. Aussie yen testing support here at let's remove this one. Testing support here at 94.80. If it pushes below, it just touched it this morning here, and we get RSI back below 40 threshold, well, then suddenly there could be lower levels to look out for. And what are we talking about? Well, it could be in the region of these levels here around 93 possibly. We have the 100 moving average giving a little bit of support, but then it will really have established a bearish trend if it pushes below, and especially below the cloud there. So let's see if it can bounce off, or will it push lower. The sterling yen also sitting back here. I think we'll test the 38.2 retracement at 198 and a quarter here later today. Possibly sliding lower towards the 61.8 at 197. I'm not quite sure it will do that, but it could do that. So keep an eye on that. But the 55 moving average will add a little bit to the support. The Aussie dollar testing the lower rising trend line there. It's not the strongest one. I actually think we will see it testing the support down here at 64.18 area. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels around 63.60, 65, where we have the 200 moving average just above to add a little bit of support, but it's also 138.2 projection of this move here. Dollar Canada. Oops, let's just resize there. Dollar Canada, strong move yesterday, took out the 786 retracement, and is just spiking above the previous peak. Just there we are, and could push higher. It could push higher. We are in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating likely higher levels towards 139.50, possibly even higher. No strong resistance until around 140 up in this region here. So really turned the tide on dollar Canada, but it established that bullish trend, higher high, higher low, higher high, and could push higher. I would expect maybe a little bit of a setback and then a push higher. Sterling Canada taking a little bit of breather. It could sit back to the 38.2 projection, but we are on a fairly strong bullish trend. But this bearish candle here is actually indicating top of reversal. So I think we should have at least down to the 38.2 retracement at 185.55 level. Euro Swiss, I couldn't really get away from this 94.50. That would be key. Can it take it out and push higher towards 95? Otherwise, I think we will sit back a little bit to 93.80, possibly down to around 93.5. Dollar Swiss also taking it easy here, of course, with the two other currencies also doing that. It's forming like kind of like a triangle-like pattern. It's not the most perfect one, testing the upper falling trend line there, and could push higher towards the 81.70. And what I will do, I will add this one here and say, okay, we could see a little bit. See, it actually bounced up to the 786 retracement. So that is the really key resistance here, 81.37, around that, just around that. 81.35. So that would be key. Let's remove it. It's cluttered the chart a little bit. Key support here at 80. The dollar index also sideways a little bit, but see positive sentiment on the RSI. If it takes out 98.50, then I think we could see a push up to 19 and 90 and a half possibly, despite the fact we have the 100 moving average coming down, kind of putting a lid on it, but I think it will push higher. We have positive sentiment on the RSI. Moving on to commodities and metals, and here we have gold that set back a little bit yesterday, testing the 100 moving average. I think we could see it spiking down to 3,300, which is the 786 retracement there, and then maybe a bounce, but 55 moving average turning over. So will it actually slide all the way down to 3,245 key support? That would be the question. First warning could be that it takes out this low there, so that would be also something to watch. So keep an eye on it. It could be something to watch. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, so maybe if it bounces, but it needs to get at least back above 3,350 to have a chance to get the bullish trend back. And horizontal line here, I will just add that one, say, okay, 3,358. So let's say 3,360. Then I think we'll see uptrend resuming. The silver, maybe that's the front runner of what's happening in gold. So let's see about that. It's currently testing the 61.8 retracement of this uptrend there. It couldn't stay above, and we talked about 37.50 key support, close below yesterday, and now we are lower. Will it bounce from here where we have the 55 moving average adding to some support? If it can get back above 37.50, then maybe it can get back towards the 38 plus. But for now, it seems like we're in a correction time. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it down to 786 retracement at 36.75. Key will be, will RSI close below 40 threshold or not? If it bounces off, then we could also see a bounce in silver. Otherwise, a bearish trend could be established. Platinum really not doing much. Well, actually, it did this morning. It spiked lower, so it actually went down to the 786 retracement at 1284. Still above the 1261 support there. Still RSI positive sentiment, so it stays above, but if it takes out the lows there from today, then I think it will also take out 1261 and possibly dip down to around 12 18 15 13 level in this region here. But for now, it could still bounce. So but it needs to get back above 1,373 to resume a bullish trend. Copper, well, still humming away sideways. But there's a bit of volatility, but it's still in the range between 433 and 465, and that will be key for a real move. So really not much to say on copper. On the energy market and crude oil, I think it will take out the lows here at 61.94, and we could see it down to the 60 threshold. There is still a chance that it could bounce to the 65.20, but it seems fairly heavy at the moment. The Brent crude oil, well, same picture really, has potential down to around 62.5. The European nat gas trying to make a bottom and reversal one here. If it closes back above 31.35, then I think we will have a bottom and reversal and could see a bounce towards 33, possibly a little bit higher. If it takes out the lows from yesterday on the 19th, then we're looking at levels around 29. We have US nat gas still in a bearish trend and seems to be continuing. A little bit of exhaustion indication with the RSI not pointing lower, but there's still possibly down to around 250. The US 10-year Treasury yield got rejected there at 4.35, setting back a little bit. The 55 moving average coming down, putting a lid on it. Also the 100 is flat, so really strong resistance here around 4.35, and it needs to get back above 4.40 for a bullish trend, so we could see it sliding low a little bit. 420 key support, I'm not quite sure we'll get that tested, but it's not unlikely. On the European yields, the EU10 has pushed higher a few days ago, sitting back a little bit, but there we are in a bullish trend, higher highs as you can see and higher lows, and we are there's potential up to around 280, 285, which is also 138.2 projection of this latest correction there, and we have a little bit of resistance going back there. But in the medium term, there's actually potential to higher levels towards the previous peaks here at just around 290 and a bit. But for now, I think I'm not quite sure we'll get up there at just yet. But we are in a bullish trend. The UK 10 reached the 477 almost, the 138.2 projection of the latest correction there. Has potential to push higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels on the RSI. So we could see it pushing up to 480 in the coming weeks. But it's not a slam dunk, and we're sitting back a little bit before the next push. If it takes out this spike up here from yesterday, well, then I think we'll see it up there. On the crypto side, well, 112,000, we are very close to test that on the Bitcoin, and now it seems the buyers are already taking advantage of the sell-off and say, okay, I don't think we will break 112. Let's just start buying now. So that would be a key level to watch. Will it break above, below or not? RSI bouncing off the 40 threshold is key. If it did close below and Bitcoin closed below 112, well, then there could be lower levels in the cards. Ethereum has taken back 50% of this uptrend there, bouncing a little bit. If it moves back above 4,400, then I think uptrend will resume, but there's still potential to drop to the 61.8 retracement at 3,900. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again tomorrow.